Hey folks, I'm Isaac. In this video, we are going to be making the lay flat travel bag. Let's get started. In your kit, you should be receiving 1 laser cut fabric blank, 2 zipper sliders, 2 zipper pulls, some grosgrain, and some number 5 Uretek coil zipper. A few other things that you're going to need to put this kit together will be a measuring device, some scissors, some thread snips, a marking device, tweezers, and a lighter. Before we get started, you're going to want to make sure that you set up your machine. Our rule of thumb is to check the TNT, or your thread, your needle, and your tension. If you have any questions about any of those things, you probably want to check your owner's manual. 1.6 Silpoly is one of the fabrics that we've chosen for this kit. The silicone coating makes it waterproof for all of your dirty clothes and wet shoes. The added Ripstop grid means it's durable, and it's lightweight for versatility and still easy to sew. Let's get to sewing. The first step is going to be to attach your zipper to the fabric blank. Now, if you've installed waterproof zippers before, then this process is going to feel familiar to you. If not, we'll show you how to do it. We're going to do this by separating your zipper tape and laying it face down on your fabric. You'll notice that there's a short side and a long side of your material. We're only going to be working with the short side right now. You're going to sew down that zipper tape to each one of those short sides. For this fabric, there isn't a distinguished front or back, so whichever way is facing up is a good place to start. For the zipper tape, however, the shiny side is the face, so you want to make sure that that is facing down. If you've worked with other sewing patterns before, this is typically referred to as right sides together. You're going to line up the raw edge of the zipper tape with the raw edge of your fabric blank, ensuring that the zipper teeth are facing inside or towards the rest of your fabric. When you're lining up your presser foot, make sure you put it next to the zipper teeth and look to keep that stitch right down the middle of the zipper tape. Next thing you want to make sure is that you don't forget your back stitches at the beginning and at the end. To top stitch, you'll go ahead and flip the zipper tape out and run a stitch next to the fold. You'll know you did this right when you've sewed together both layers of the fabric to the zipper tape. And you're going to make sure that you do this on both sides. Your kit is going to come with 2 zipper sliders. You're going to install one on each end of your fabric, and you're going to make sure that both of those pieces of fabric line up with one another. In other words, make sure that where the fabric meets your zipper tape, they are parallel with one another. We're going to start this process by making sure that our zipper tape is right next to each other. You should have one end that's a little bit longer than the other, and we're going to start with that longer end. Slide your first zipper slider onto that long end until it meets the short side. Installing your second zipper is going to be the same as the first. We're just going to take that first slider, move it all the way down to the other side, and help get things lined up. You'll know that you've gotten this process correct when both of your sides of zipper tape are laying relatively flat next to each other. If you see a wave or a bubble in your zipper tape, then you've probably done something a little incorrectly. To create our zipper pulls, we're going to cut 2 inches of grosgrain, about 4 inches apiece. Each one of these will be folded in half, put on top of your zipper tape, and then you can clip those in place before you stitch. In order to clip these in place, you may have to trim down your zipper tape. It's totally fine, just trim down to the edge of the fabric. To sew this down, we're just going to do a simple straight stitch back and forth a few times over just the grosgrain on top of your zipper tape. One thing to note here is you have both sides of your kit on top of each other. Make sure that you don't sew these together. You're going to want to move one of those sides, the bottom side, underneath a little ways, and then sew down just the grosgrain to the zipper tape. Once you've got that sewn down, you're going to repeat the same steps on the other side. Don't forget to burn your edges. In this step, we're going to make our handle. Before you do anything though, you're going to need to turn your bag inside out. Your handle length can really be up to you, but we're going to recommend about 9.5 inches. Go ahead and grab your grow grain, cut it, and burn it down. We're going to need to know the center point for the next step. So with your pattern piece inside out, just go ahead and pinch the zipper and pull out the other side and line it up so that you find that center point. Once you've done that, we're just going to snip off a little corner so that you have a little V in that center line. Put your grow grain aside and grab your marking device. We're going to mark 2 inches on either side of the zipper tape on one end of the bag, and this is where your handle is going to go. Grab your grow grain and line it up with your marks. Now before you do this, you're going to want to make sure that it's oriented correctly. What I mean by that is make sure that there aren't any weird twists in your grow grain and that you're inserting the grow grain handle into the inside of your bag. That way when you turn it out, it's on the outside. For reference, I'm going to line up the outside edge of my grow grain with the mark we made in the previous step. In other words, I want the majority of my grow grain to be on the inside of that mark towards the zipper tape. Tack down the ends of your handle where you marked. We're just going to do that by going back and forth a few times over that grow grain. Keep in mind that you're going to be closing this end of your pattern piece at this point, so just make sure that your center zipper is lined up with that center mark that we made previously. If you have clips, then now would be a good time to use that. If not, it's totally okay. After tacking down your handle, we're going to go ahead and run 2 basting stitches on either side of the bag to close them up. We're going to use about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. But the important thing is that you go on the inside of those 2 bar tacks that you use to tack down your handle. In this step, we're going to be making the pleats that will give this bag some dimension. You're going to want to make sure that you start this step with your bag inside out. Using your marking and measuring device, you're going to make a mark 4 inches in from each corner. This is going to result in a 2-inch fold. Once you've made your marks, you're going to fold your pattern piece so that the finished edge of that pattern piece lines up with that mark that you just made. If you have clips, this is a great place to use them to keep the folds in place. We're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance and run a stitch across both of the folds. There are a few things that you want to make sure of while you're doing this. First is that you reinforce the pleats while you're sewing those down. We'll do this by just doing a few back and forth stitches right over that fold. Next is that you're following your previous stitch so that you have a nice straight stitch when you finish. If you'd like to bind the inside of this travel bag, you can do that now. If you do plan on binding this, you may want to trim down your seam allowance. If you do that, just make sure that you tack down your handle once more to reinforce that spot. All right, now we're going to do the hokey pokey, turn our pattern piece around and repeat those same steps. Okay, your pattern piece should look something like this once you get through step 4. We're almost done with this, so let's just take care of a few housekeeping items. We're going to trim and burn any edges or frayed bits. We're going to turn this out and make sure your corners are nice and pushed all the way out. And we're also going to girth hitch our zipper pulls onto the zipper sliders. All right, you're all set. Congrats on finishing your lay flat travel bag kit. If you'd like some more MYOG fun, make sure you check out our other kits like the tote bag kit. Make sure you take some pictures and tag us on Instagram, and thanks for watching.